Hey guys, John W. Quinn here, the author of Someone Like Me. Time for another video blog. Next week, March 25th, is National Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day. And I thought this would be a good time to maybe have a little discussion about cerebral palsy in general. I get so many questions, I get contacted by so many people throughout the course of the week, and a lot of the comments, questions are pretty much the same. And I wanted to talk to you about that, just have a little discussion. Maybe you're finding this video blog for the first time. Maybe you're a parent who just got the diagnosis of a child with cerebral palsy and you're doing some research. Maybe you don't know anything about cerebral palsy, and I think that's kind of a good place to start because there's so much that's not known in the general public of what cerebral palsy is. A lot of misconceptions out there. Cerebral palsy is otherwise known as CP. A lot of people think that CP is a disease, that it's progressive, that it gets worse over time, as you get older. A lot of people confuse it with MS, which is a progressive disease. Cerebral palsy is not. So the condition of cerebral palsy that I have does not get worse over time. You might have issues as you get older that like anybody else who gets older over time has aging issues. But my cerebral palsy is as it was when I was a child. I had the same kind of issues that I deal with, those of balance, coordination. Now, what is cerebral palsy? Before I get off track, what is cerebral palsy? It's a brain injury. Okay, that's the way I think about it. I'm not a doctor. I just think of it as a brain injury. Cerebral meaning your brain, palsy meaning the movement of my muscles. So, how do I describe cerebral palsy? It's like having a dial-up modem for muscle movement. Remember the old dial-up modems, how slow they were? While everybody else is running on high-speed broadband. It's very frustrating. It can be maddening. But each case of CP is unique to that individual. Some people, like myself, have a relatively mild case of cerebral palsy. Others are more harshly affected, where cerebral palsy affects every muscle in your body. So some people have to have a wheelchair, use a wheelchair. Some people have to use breathing devices, again, because you need muscles to breathe. Some people have issues with speech and hearing. Again, all the muscles in your body are affected by CP. So that's, it can range from severely affected all the way down to people with mild disabilities like myself. Am I considered disabled? No, I am not. I take no assistance from the state. I take no medication, but I do have cerebral palsy. I think that's an important note. People see me, and they think, when I tell them I have cerebral palsy, they're very surprised. But then they see me walking, and I had an incident this past weekend. One of the top doctors, pediatric surgeons in the world, saw me walking, and I introduced myself, and he found out that I had cerebral palsy, and he goes, "Yeah, I saw you walking, and I thought that you probably have it. I didn't want to say anything to you." So if you know what to look for, people with cerebral palsy are relatively easy to spot that have a mild case. But how prevalent is cerebral palsy? Well, it's pretty prevalent. 17 million people in the world have CP, or 850,000 people in this country. think that breaks down to about 1 in every 323 people. It's pretty remarkable. Okay, so it's one of the most prevalent muscular disorders in this country. To my knowledge, there's still no federal funding for CP causation research, meaning the causes of cerebral palsy. There's $0 in the federal budget for CP research. That's got to change. Okay. Now, people with cerebral palsy, do they work? Oh, of course they work. I have 2 jobs that I'm working right now. But I know people that are businessmen. I know people that are entrepreneurs. I know writers, authors, accountants. I know comedians with cerebral palsy. I know actors with cerebral palsy. So people with CP are out there living their lives, doing great things, having careers. They have families. They have the same hopes, dreams, and desires as you. Okay? There's nothing wrong with people with cerebral palsy. We are exactly as we are made. When you see me walk, when you see me run, I walk and run differently, but I'm still out there walking and running. Okay? Just because I do things and it may look a little strange to you, doesn't mean that it's wrong. Okay? And it doesn't give you the right to call me names, to pick on me, to laugh, because how would you like to have cerebral palsy and be in my shoes? I wish you could live in my body for about a week, come back and report back to me. But we just do the best we can. Now, if you're an employer, you might be thinking, well, should I hire somebody with this? How can I help your cause? I asked you to do this one thing. If you're an employer out there, hire one person with a disability. It doesn't have to be cerebral palsy. It can be a physical disability. It can be a mental disability. Hire that one person. I guarantee you, you won't be disappointed. People with disabilities, in my experience, and I have a brother and sister who are mentally handicapped, they're some of the best workers you will ever hire, period. We take a lot of pride in our work, and we love going to work and contributing to society. So give us the opportunity to do that. And one last point I want to make is I'm not asking for a lowering of a standard to bring everybody in, to make everybody feel better about themselves. I don't want you to lower a standard to hire me, just because you might have to hit a quota or whatever it might be. Give me the opportunity to hit the same standard as everybody else. That's inclusion to me. Inclusion is the opportunity to hit the same standard as everyone else. What do you get when you hire somebody with a disability? Well, I think you get a more diverse workforce. You get maybe things looked at from a different angle, a different perspective. But take a chance. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Okay, so those are my thoughts. Cerebral Palsy Awareness 2015. Hope you all are doing well. My name is John Quinn. Check out my book. It's called Someone Like Me, An Unlikely Story of Challenge and Triumph Over Cerebral Palsy. And yeah, I served in the Navy with cerebral palsy. It can be done. Too bad I had to keep it a secret in order to get into the front door. But retired as a senior chief, which is the second highest rank you can hold. Served on aircraft carriers, battleships, and destroyers. So check out my book and check out my website, johnwquinn.com, Quinn.com. All right, guys, be well. It's a little long, so I'm going to cut it short, but take care, be well, and all the best.